this is Albin and I'm doing the live video of my second real game of the CVTV tourney. I'm playing against Hapa. Okay, he played the... Okay, let me just answer this chat. Okay, thank you, same. And we can go back to the game. Okay, he played d5, I'm gonna go with c4. And he played e6, it's the queen's gambit declined. Here I'm gonna play knight to c3. And here knight to f3. And here generally after this move I would like to develop my bishop, my dark square bishop. So I'm gonna play bishop to f4 because I wanna develop my bishop, because before playing pawn to e3, I mean, it's not a mistake to play any other different way, but simply after I started developing bishop before playing e3, I discovered that I have a better game, but both ways are playable. Certainly. Okay, he castled already, and now I will play e3. And then probably bishop to d3, normal developing moves. Nothing spectacular. I cannot play knight to b5 if you are looking at this, to attack c7 pawn, because he still hasn't developed his knight. If he develops knight, let's say to c6 now, then I can play knight to b5, but that will not happen. He probably, after I play bishop to d3, he's gonna take on c4. He can play c5 himself. He has many different moves to play this position. Anyway, I will not rush through this game, since I'm doing a live video as well. And also, I don't know if you are following the CVTV tourney, I still have no victory or even a draw. 2 games I played so far, I both lost. Okay, the first one was against Andrew Run, but I got a point from that game anyway because he's not participating. But in the last game I didn't play that well versus Fox. But here my opponent Hapa, he's playing the system that I am d4 player, and the system he's playing against me is something what I pretty much understand. So we will see how the game will proceed, but let's say I am still in the known territory here. Like I said, I mean, we can all now wonder why Black is thinking, but it's normal it's thinking. He has this bishop on c1, and maybe he's considering how to develop it later on. Okay, he played c5, as I mentioned, as one of the possible variations of the Black to play. Okay, here now I can I can provoke to play against his isolated pawn. I can create isolated black pawn on d5, but I don't want to do that yet, because if I take here on d5, he's gonna recapture with e pawn, and then he can easily develop this bishop on this diagonal. So I'm gonna play bishop to d3 here and let him to create isolated pawn in my structure, because now Black has possibility to create isolated queen's pawn in my structure, but it's again okay position to play. but we will see if you're gonna get that. So I just play bishop to d3 because I'm already late with castling. I want a castle. I'm glad that my opponent is not blitzing out the moves, because that gives me also kind of opportunity to think a little bit. I mean, I'm doing live videos, so I don't want to play that fast because I want to tell a little bit about the moves. Okay, the way how he can create passed pawn is rather easy. C takes d4, E takes d4, and then D takes c4, and I will have isolated pawn here on d4. But in that position he can, I don't know, play b6 and develop his bishop here and this diagonal. Okay, it's happening, only different move order, but this is happening. So I'm just gonna recapture on c4. And now he took on d4, so we have a... okay, certainly I can decide not to play isolated queen's pawn position. You see here, I don't have to take with the pawn. I can also take with the queen, or the knight, for that matter. Well, taking with the queen is bad actually, because queen takes knight to c6, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, and I helped him to develop two of his pieces with tempo. So I'm gonna just play like pawn takes and play isolated queen's pawn position. Isolated queen's pawn positions are very interesting. Okay, he played the knight to c6 because there is always dilemma whether this pawn here on d4 is a weakness or strength. In this stage of the game, definitely it is a it's not weakness, but in the end game the side that has isolated pawn could have some problems. Okay, here I will just castle. And now he played pawn to b6, as I mentioned, to develop bishop on that diagonal. Okay, I'm thinking what to do here. For now, I'm just going to bring my rook to c1, and nothing spectacular yet. Because I need to get my rooks into the central files and play position from there. Of course, in order to bring other rook on the d1, that's where I would like to bring other rook, I would have to actually move my queen, but I cannot move my queen because this pawn is attacked by the knight and the queen. So already you can kind of feel the pressure against the isolated queen's pawn, but he can increase that pressure, and I'm sure he will do that. He can increase this pressure with accurate play. This bishop can be very strong in this pressure. Here actually, this pawn here, I'm thinking to play bishop to e5, that's one idea. So if he takes, I'm just gonna recapture with the pawn, and I will not have isolated pawn, and I will have maybe more space control. but if we trade queens, he will always have opportunity to take with this bishop knight on f3. And also one thing is that after he takes this knight on f3, he's gonna have bishop pair in a rather open position. I can play knight here, but I'm not gaining anything. Okay, first I'm gonna bring my bishop here on d3, because this bishop really wants to be on this diagonal rather than this one here. He cannot take this pawn because of the old tactics. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop takes h7, and queen takes queen. So he cannot take this this pawn on d4 now in this position. So I want to just slowly to improve my pieces, nothing spectacular yet. He's doing the same. He is doing the same. And now I will play bishop to b1 in order to have a queen protecting this pawn, and also in future I have opportunity to create battery along this diagonal against this pawn. That's my idea for now. Like you see, both sides, we are not in the rush. We are both playing slow moves, building up position. And that's the typical play for this type of position. I don't know who is going to win. I don't know if any side has advantage at this stage, but for me it looks very equal. I still don't have a clear plan what to do, because you see my pieces, they are all like perfectly placed except the rook. This rook maybe would like to go on d1, and the queen maybe on, I don't know, e2, but it's not easy for me to perform that maneuver because this pawn here is attacked 2 times. But as soon as if he moves his queen of this file, I'm gonna play queen to e2 and rook to d1. If he moves his queen, most likely I will do that. But actually it's not easy for him to move this queen, because okay, this bishop, dark square bishop, is good for the defense of this pawn, but I'm not using it for the defense of this pawn, but instead of that it's located here along this diagonal, and it's very annoying piece for black, I'm sure. As I mentioned earlier, this diagonal b1 h7 is important in this type of setup. Okay, here we go. This knight move is, I'm trying to see the point of this knight move. I don't see anything like concrete, except that he's opening this bishop, but he doesn't want to take here, I'm sure. Also this knight can go on d5 to establish the strong blockade over the in front of the isolated pawn. That's very important and good thing to do. And also, you see, I mentioned if any pressure is released from this d4 pawn, that I will move my queen to e2. But here in this position I'm not sure I can do that. I'm not sure if I can play queen to e2, because he can play bishop to c6, pinning my queen against the rook. and I cannot interpose anything because the knight is attacking d3 square and protecting a6 square, protecting the bishop. Once when this knight goes here, it's gonna be attacking this bishop. When this knight goes on d4, it's gonna be attacking this bishop. So I am thinking what to do here. I'm just gonna play h6 for now. I think it's a useful move in many variations. I can just hide my bishop on h2. Now after I play h3, sorry, I think I said h6. So I will just play h3, because this bishop is gonna be a target for his knights. Certainly I cannot play queen to e2, although I would like to, but if this knight moves, I'm gonna hide my bishop, and then later on play with the idea queen to e2 and rook to d1. Okay, now I will hide my bishop, but I will first place it on g3, because if he wants to get rid of this bishop, actually I'm gonna play it on h2 immediately, because I saw that after he takes the knight, pawn takes, he can play knight to e5, maybe attacking the bishop on g3, so it's better to move it on h2 immediately. Although on g3 it has option to go on h4, that's the only downside of this move, bishop to h2. Well, it's an interesting game. I wouldn't say that any side has a major advantage now. Definitely black looks very well developed. If black takes on c3, I'm thinking like, should I recapture with the rook or the pawn? Most likely with the pawn, although in that case I will have a isolated a pawn. If b takes c, my isolated a pawn could be weakness, and then also, but in that position I will not have isolated d pawn, will be protected permanently. So I don't know, but this pawn could be like okay, but that's not happening. Let's focus on something else. He played bishop to d6. Generally, this is the proof that this bishop is very annoying. I can take here, he can take with the queen, and then I can play knight to b5, attacking the queen, and a7 pawn. Only way for him to defend that is playing queen to b8. Rather, I don't know, queen to b8 is... And then after that I don't see continuation, because I don't have control over these dark squares anymore. But I can play knight to e5 here also, in this position. Knight to e5 is also interesting move. I'm sure he will not take, and I am bringing my knight into his position. I can also play bishop to e5, so if he takes my bishop, I take with the pawn. This knight must move, and then this pawn here is weakened, and I don't have isolated the pawn anymore. So actually I will play bishop to e5. Kinda like the idea to have pawn on e5. That automatically means that I have more space and more chances for kingside attack. So if he takes, I'm gonna capture with the pawn. Well, I don't know. Then he can trade queens. If bishop takes, definitely he's gonna trade queens. The problem is bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes on c3, pawn takes on c3, queen takes on d1, rook takes on d1, and this knight can go to d2 attacking this pawn on e5, and he's threatening to take with this bishop this knight, which is guarding the pawn, and then after pawn takes knight, he can capture this pawn with his knight. That's one idea, but I don't think I can take. Only way to avoid all that trouble is for me to capture here with the knight. I don't see other way to deal with this position. I mean, I like endgames, and I would not have a problem to go into the endgame if I have like equal chances. But I don't want to go into the endgame with the position I just mentioned, and that position would be if my pawn is on e5 and he can take with the bishop on f3, and this knight is on d2, d7 attacking the pawn. That's not the endgame I would like to have, because he's threatening to double my pawns on f-file, to isolate my pawns on h3 by taking on f3, and also threatening to take pawn after he removes guard from f3. So I need to be careful here. So if he takes my bishop, maybe I will take with the knight. Okay, he took the bishop, and now let's see. If pawn takes, now let's see, if pawn takes, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, and I already have two isolated pawns here, so already that it's kinda not attractive. You see, if pawn takes, knight takes knight, and pawn takes knight. So I'm gonna take with the knight. I'm gonna take with the knight in order to avoid that all that trouble. I don't wanna go into inferior endgame. definitely. Okay, my pawn now on d4 is weak, but that's how it is. It's better to have position like this than going to inferior endgame. Now let me just check if my actually this if I'm recording this video, because I don't wanna talk for nothing. Yeah, it's recording, that's good. Okay, we have position like this. I'm trying to assess this position to see who is better. I think we are equal in this position. I don't think that any side has some big advantage. Okay, he played knight to f4, attacking the pawn on b2, on g2, sorry, with the bishop and the knight. So let me see how I can defend that. If I play g6, I lose this pawn. If I cannot interpose anything, because I can return knight back to f3. That's one way to defend this b2 pawn. So also I can play f3. But I don't know, f3 kinda seems very weakening for my king's side. Okay, he doesn't have dark square bishop to exploit that weakness, but still f3 looks very, very weakening, because I'm creating a hole here. I'm creating a hole here on a g3. Also, if I play knight to f3, he can take this knight with his bishop, and then if I don't want to double up my pawns, I have to take with the queen, and the pawn on d4 is falling because queen takes pawn, and plus attacking the knight on d5. So I think I will have to play f3 here. Because I have a pawn here on d4 that's a typical theme in the isolated queen's pawn position. That bishop takes on f3, and once, if you don't want to double up your pawns, if you're captured with the queen, pawn on d4 is falling. Okay, now my king is a little bit exposed. He doesn't have dark square bishop, that's okay, but still it's rather uncomfortable, although I don't see yet how the white actually can exploit that. How the black actually can exploit that. I mean, it's strictly typical positional play. And I like this type of games. Probably I made some mistakes also, but you are free to comment on that. definitely what I need to do. Okay, he is threatening to come with his knight on g3, and also he's opening his queen to move on my king side. Let's say here on h5, maybe h4, queen to h4, and some threats. That's his idea. Okay, this knight, now when it's moved, it's not protecting the h7 square. So if I play queen to c2, he's probably gonna see that that's mate threat, but he's not gonna go for that. Okay, here, like I said, queen to h4 is a threat, and maybe knight to g6. Okay, he's gonna be attacking the rook, but I can move the rook. So I need to come up with the... Anyway, I'm gonna play king to h2 just to give protection to this g3 square, and to move my king out of the... Okay, he's threatening the mate. I don't want to play my queen to guard this pawn. I would like to have some other piece, like rook to f2 to guard this pawn, because I want to be able to move my queen around. If I place my queen to guard the pawn, then it's like, you know, permanently queen is tied to this pawn. So I don't know, should I play like rook to f2 or rook to g1? That's the only dilemma I have. Also I can get tempo here with queen to c2, threatening mate. Probably he's gonna see that, but let's check that. Queen to c2. Okay, it's a 15 minutes increment, so there should be it's critical position, but of course he sees this mate. He's gonna probably play g6 to prevent that, and after g6 I don't know, simply he's also threatening with check here on g3, so maybe I will move the queen on f2 to protect the g3 square. Okay, he's checking me immediately. Of course I want to go to king to h1, because I don't want to go here, then he can take this pawn. Okay, now he's prevented the mate. He has prevented the mate, so should I go to trade the queens? Maybe that's not so good idea. I need to come with the solution rather fast here. I'm just gonna move my queen from this pin. I don't wanna have my queen on this pin here. because I want to be able to move my knight to attack his queen. Maybe here on e2. Well, not on e2, it's falling. Maybe on d4. e4, sorry. I cannot do that as long as my queen is pinned to the rook, so that's one thing I have to do now. Okay, it's getting really sharp now. In this kind of position I would like to trade pieces. Because I'm under big pressure, so trading pieces would kinda help me a little bit. Trying to see if there is any possibility to sacrifice here on h3, but I don't see it, because I can always block with the queen possible checks. So need to be careful about bishop to a6, could be also annoying move to attacking this rook. And also one thing I need to be careful, as soon as he moves his queen he's gonna have a possibility to check me here. Okay, he's properly bringing his last piece into the attack. So let me see. I need to defend the second rank because he's threatening. He's threatening to my king. So I'm gonna play rook to c2 to give more protection to this second rank. Because now when if he moves his queen, he's threatening with the check here. To win my rook. Sorry because I'm not talking that much, as you can see I'm very low on time and I'm trying to figure out how to play this, how not to lose this badly. Rook to c2, believe me, was very horrible move for me to make because I'm aware I'm blocking this bishop, but when defense of the king is in question you must play everything, all type of moves just to defend. If he moves his queen I'm gonna play king to h2 immediately to gain some on my clock. Okay, so he did that. Okay, he checked me. I don't know if he is after the draw, but I have to play king to h1 due to the I have to play king to h1. As I said, king to g1 loses this pawn with strong attack, so king to h1 is forced for me. I'm thinking if he plays again queen to h3, what should I do then? Should I again play? Okay, he played rook to c4. The idea is to take the knight. I cannot take the rook. The idea is to take this knight. So I'm just gonna move my queen to some place. I don't know. Let's say queen to e3 because of this spin. Okay, now he brings his rook back. Okay, I'm gonna move this knight. I'm also threatening with some checks now, but nothing serious. He maybe wants to double up on d file. Maybe he's gonna play rook to d7 now. Rook from c to d7. No, he didn't. He played f5, attacking the knight. Okay, I'm gonna take his rook. So queen to e5. Okay, he took my knight. I'm gonna take his rook and threatening with check. He cannot mate me because of this rook here. Okay, now he moved his queen, protecting the rook. I'm gonna take this bishop also. Okay, now there is a check. And I need to play king to g1 because king to h2 allows taking rook with the check. And also allows taking the rook for free. Okay, he took the pawn. I'm gonna take this pawn. And I've only placed his king to g2. Now he's gonna probably check on f4. Okay, king to g1. Okay, check here. This is forced. Okay, now he can take my rook with the check, or he can check me on g2. I need to run. Now he can take my rook with the check. Well, his queen now is attacked also with my rook. Probably I'm gonna get mated here. If he's gonna take my rook, okay, I'm gonna take the knight. He really managed to get my king out in the open. Okay, king to g3 check. Only place is e4, that's forced. Okay, queen to h4 check. I'm gonna play f4 here. Queen to h1. King to d3. I would like to escape with my king on this side if that is possible. My queen is falling. Ooh, I didn't see that my queen is... Oh yeah, he took my queen on b7. Good game. I'm gonna resign this. Interesting game.
Game over.
Interesting game. A very interesting game. I mean, I lost this game, but this game what we played is like really interesting game. And I don't know, when the things got tough, in my commentary I like stopped commenting because the tactics was all over the place. But excellent game. I'm gonna... Okay, probably I apologize for the commentary, that in the tough positions with a long time I had to talk, but I couldn't because I was calculating in my head all the time. But so I apologize for mistakes in commentary, and congratulations to Hop to very good game.